when I talk about another dimension, like you guys think different than most people think.
Well, we reverse engineer.
Yes.
So my work as an engineer, I could barely screw in a light bulb. My wife makes fun of me. But the way that I think, the way that I dissect my routines is I first think of the effect. So I think, what do I want you to think happened, right? Here's what would be really cool to me. So it would be really cool to me if I could tell you to think of anyone, but I'm influencing where you're going to go with that person before you even know it. And I'm going to tell you that person's name. And
don't make it an athlete. That's too obvious. Don't make it this.
Exactly.
Narrow it down.
Psychology 101. Yeah. It's the same way that a salesperson, if they're very pushy, the used car salesman says, you get this car, your guard is up.
Yeah.
But if you walk into a place and they kind of talk to you and they go, you know what, this might not be right for you. I think maybe your business is better elsewhere. You're intrigued. This guy doesn't want my money. What do you mean? That's how you hook people in. There's so many little facets.
Yeah.
There's interesting thing. Pickup Artist. Did you ever see that book by
Neil Strauss?
Yeah, Neil Strauss, The Game.
Well. He's a good friend of mine.
So a lot of those guys started as magicians, and a lot of what they talk about is very applicable to what I do, literally, but not for picking up like girls or anything.
Right.
It's knowing how people think in their decision making, knowing how social dynamics work, how people think when they're one at a time or versus in a group dynamic. And I work on that all the time. That's so much of my show is knowing how I'm going to affect and influence somebody when they're amongst others. When somebody is with their peers, colleagues, or whether they're with their boss. All of those things play in when I do a show.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Huge.
So when you see someone, when you go into a room or a restaurant and you're thinking like, when you see someone, do you think like, what's the trick? Or, I mean, what's the thing I want to do? Not the trick, but the thing.
Jason Bourne. You know Jason Bourne, the first movie? One of my favorite scenes ever is when they bring him into the restaurant and he tells you everything right now. Boom, I know what that guy's wearing. I know what that license plate is. I know that. That, no BS, is exactly what I've trained my mind to do.
In every room.
If I walk into most rooms, like I had a show last night for 85 people in San Antonio, Texas, I knew every single person's name in that room, every single person's first name.
How?
Well, that's memory work. So I've worked on memory.
So you met every person.
Well, during the cocktail hour, I walk around, I say hello.
You met everyone, yeah.
Even if I don't meet them, they have name tags.
Wow.
I know I'm going to know everything about them. I know who worked for the host company. I know who didn't. I know who's superior to who. And I've got the social dynamics on this.
Wow.
This guy's got a wedding band. I can see that it's scuffed. I know this guy's been married probably 15, 20 years. Everything like that is fodder for the show.
Sure. Just additional stuff. You're just like, wow, this guy's good.
That is the show.
Yeah.
So when you hear about cold reading and stuff that a lot of psychics and mediums do, I'm not here to tell you what's real and not real. I just know that so much of what I see a lot of psychics do, I could do exactly the same, and I could do it with no supernatural abilities. I can do it based on the here, the now, my five senses, and what I'm able to deduce.
Asking a couple questions and, just being aware
leading questions, knowing where people's motivations are. I know that they want to hear a certain thing, so I'm going to bring them in that direction. It's kind of like if I knew one thing about you. Let's say, Lewis, I learned one thing about you. Let's say I knew exactly that you were going to think about your brother who's, a world-known jazz violinist, number one in the world. What I might do is mention my siblings and go into that and then have a facet where I ask somebody else in here to think of their sibling. And then I wait that moment and I kind of put the hook in. And I know that I've just said it where you're going to go, well, what does my brother do? And I know that information. Everything I've done is craft a scenario that's going to set in motion you asking me the question that I know the answer to.
Mm-hmm.
It's
everything you do is setting up what you already know.
Not always, but I try to do multiple different. So that would be, if I did that more than once, you would instantly catch on.
Right.
So what I do is I mix methods. In my show, I teach you how I did one thing slightly, and then I do the same thing in a totally different way, and you go, what the F? So that's the fun of it. If I did a show and you didn't understand anything, you would get very bored and you'd get exasperated and annoyed with me. I like to spread breadcrumbs. The whole show, I teach you little things, takeaways, and that's why you have fun. Yeah.
So you're teaching people what you're doing as you're doing it.
Absolutely. Like elements of it.
You're not trying to hide the magic of it.
Oh, no. I will show people how to detect lies during the show.
Wow.
And so I'll do things, body language reads. I'm not teaching you to be a mentalist, but I'm giving away a little bit of the craft while I go because that's what hooks you in. You go, wow. And so as it gets every phase gets a little more impressive, and then you do something even crazier. You go, well, if he did that, how did he do that one? It just makes it more fun. You need to build.
Sure. Does mentalism have to do more with emotional intelligence or observing people's behavior?
So it has to do with both in the same way that a hypnotist, if you say to me, I don't want to be hypnotized, I'm not going to be hypnotized.
Right.
Then at the end of the day, you won't be hypnotized. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
The power of suggestion.
Uh-huh.
So... But a hypnotist, a very talented, good one, can diffuse that person's underlying tension, or why are they so nervous, or what are they scared of, or what's the problem. So in most scenarios, I try to get to the root of, will this person be good to work with or not? And when I'm doing a big show, I can quickly avoid people that I just don't think are going to be fun.
Right.
Because some people, if let's say I walk up to you and you just had a really rough day, or you got really bad news, and I don't want that. I don't ever want to bring up, my show is not ever going to bring you bad news. It's a fun show. It's interactive. So I'll kind of shy away from that.
Yeah.
But to answer the question, I think that it's more about observing people than the emotional intelligence, because certain people I just can't read well. There's no way around it. Yeah, like, so I can do certain things with them, but we won't get to the next level with them. It's just that simple. There's no way around it. And then they'll come up to me the show and be like, well, why didn't you do something more with me? And I'm like, I'm sorry, I couldn't. And then they're like,
I couldn't read your mind.
Yeah,
You weren't
exactly
open.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly right. It was a bit more opaque than others.
So what's the perfect person to work with? Or who do you see? What's the type of person you see you're like, yes, that's going to be a good person to work with?
It runs the gamut of the extremes. So the people that are most believing and most into it are always the most fun. And also the ones that are at the opposite end that are the most skeptical. Because nothing's better than having
arms
somebody,
crossed,
arms crossed, body language like this. And I seek them out in the show. I have a lot of funny bits that are just literally finding that person that's going to say, there's no way you're going to know this. And that's the best moment ever when you get that right, because that's when you get the explosive reactions on stage, on TV, and the ones like the David Blaine things where you just know in today's day and age where everything can be faked, everything can be reshot, but authenticity can't be faked. Like when you see someone's real reaction, you know it's not actors. You know you just can't fake it. It's very difficult to fake surprise and being blown away. People can notice when it's off, you know?
Yeah, of course.
They can.
Is there ever a, what do you call it? If you don't call it a trick, but do you call it something else?
Trick, routine, effect, whatever you want.
Is there ever an
I don't mind trick. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm tricking you, but my goal isn't the trick.
Right.
If you figure out how I did it, some of the time, it's more impressive than actually not knowing.
Really?
There's certain things I do where when you know, if you actually figure it out, somebody will walk up to me and goes, you couldn't have possibly done this and this. And I go, that's exactly what I did. And he goes, there's no way. He goes, that's insane. So it's some of the things are even more impressive once you figure them out because they seem so ballsy. They go, you just did that in front of thousands of people? Like that could have gone wrong. What if? And I go, that's the rush.
Have you ever done a big performance where everything's gone wrong?
Never everything.
But like a big trick maybe that you always do really well or that always goes well, and then it's like this big aha, and then, no, that wasn't what I was thinking about.
Oh, 100%.
Really?
So, yeah, for sure.
How do you deal with that?
So it depends where I'm dealing with it. So let's say when I do a stage show, like a corporate event or somebody's hiring me for a private party, the one thing I have the luxury of is time. Okay? So here's what I mean by that. Imagine a director's cut of a movie. Let's say you get to watch the 3 alternate endings. You didn't even know that could happen. You go, wow, I didn't even know. So in some situations, the only reason you know what the ending is if I frame the ending, okay? So something could go wrong that you don't even know went wrong. You don't know because I didn't say it's not an A to B. It's not think of something and I'm going to guess it. So if I can reframe, just reframe something, then you don't even know it went wrong. We just move in a different direction and pivot. And suddenly that goes right and you think that other thing didn't even matter. Do you understand what I mean? It's all the way that I frame it.
So you could have ended it originally, but you realize that like, oh, this isn't the end, so I need to go somewhere else.
Correct. If you didn't know, the reason you expected is, let's say, if I...
You said this is the final thing, and here we go.
If I tell you in advance what's going to happen, if I say, you say this, and here's an envelope, and look what's inside, you're expecting it to be that.
Right.
But what if it's not that? What if it's something from earlier, and we then go to... Do you understand? There's different facets.
Sure.
On TV, it's very different.
Yeah, how did you
do that? I do
that
a lot of live TV now. I'm on the Today Show every month. I was on ESPN. You say I pretty much do usually... Knock on wood, I've been doing about 2 or 3 national TV appearances a month lately.
Congrats.
Thank you.
It's amazing.
So,
but you got to have kind of the end because you only got like 5 minutes.
Oh, you couldn't be more right. There's a clock ticking. And when something goes wrong, and a lot of the stuff I do is very risky. And a lot of other mentalists, that like my friends that will say to me, like, why are you doing that, man? And I go, because I like to live on the edge, like big risk, big reward. Right. Where I will tell somebody, think of something, and I go, right now, change your mind to another thing. And it's like they know that there's just no safety net. If at that moment I don't push them and they don't go to what I want them to do, then there's no outs. Like I did this thing with Al Roker where I had him think of any celebrity. And I said, who's going to run for president in 2020? Just make someone up right now. And he goes, George Clooney, right? And then I said to him, I go, what if you change your mind right at this moment, picked anybody else? What if it was somebody else? He goes, I don't know. I go, just anyone. And he goes, Taylor Swift. And I took off my shirt, and I had a picture of Taylor
Shut
Swift
up.
for 2020. And
You did not.
I'll show you the clip. And they were so freaked out that they couldn't do the next segment, and they bumped the next person who I saw in the green room, and she was so mad at me.
Oh,
I'm
my
so sorry.
gosh.
And they kept me on, and they just kept saying, like, how did you? And Al was, and I since know them because we've developed quite a relationship in the last year. But to this day, he goes, that's the one. He goes, because in that moment, I could have said anything I wanted. And he goes, you were wearing a shirt. And then I told him the joke. I go, I was wearing George Clooney underwear. Don't worry. But no, it's that kind of stuff is in the moment. My heart is racing.
What if he doesn't say it?
But I'm super calm. That's like it's kind of like when I line up at the race day, all my nerves are gone once I start running. Once I get in the zone, if I am too nervous and I don't believe it, then it won't happen. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but the visualization, I'm sure, Usain Bolt, Michael Phelps, they did their races 1,000 times in their mind.
Absolutely.
Before that gun went off. So in my mind, every single scenario, I'm so focused in that moment when I'm on TV and I know that millions of people are watching that if I don't believe it's going to happen, it might not.
It's not going to happen.
I swear.
So how long were you thinking about this routine with Al? How long were you thinking? It was just like a couple days before, weeks before?
Yeah, probably. I mean, most of them, you don't really have it's not like one of those things where they tell you you're going to be on 2 months from now.
They're like on Monday, they're like, hey, we want you for Wednesday.
Pretty much. It's usually about let's call it 7 to 10 day notice.
So you think about it.
Yeah.
And are you thinking, this is what I want him to say? This is where I'm going to wear this shirt.
It was very
and he's going to
clear-cut.
say Taylor Swift.
He better.
And are you going over in your mind, like just visualizing it for the whole week? Like, this is what I'm going to say to set him up. This is where he's going to go.
All the time. Every run, all the time, thinking about tweaking it, thinking about where will he think. I just know, imagine just one of those, I don't know what are those charts where this goes to that and this goes to that. It's like a spider chart.
Yes.
So I'm eliminating all of those branches by what I'm saying and the way I'm influencing him, the way I'm tapping him. And like, I know right when he thought of that, when I tapped him, he just went away from that. And it's just there's layers on layers. It's like Inception almost.
Wow.
That's what I try to do.
So how did you set it up for him?
You watch it later.
Oh my gosh, man.
A video's worth 1,000 words.
Yeah.
Because if I tell you, people won't believe it. You won't when you see it.
I'll believe it.
Yeah. It
That's
mostly
amazing,
sounds
man.
too BS-y when I tell it.
Now, is it more about you believing it in your mind and seeing it actually happen? Or is it more about what you say, your touch, what you don't say?
All of it.
All of it.
Yeah.
So you're thinking about every element of how to influence him to say Taylor Swift.
Yes, 100%.
Wow. This is fascinating, man.
It's still, with all that due diligence and all that work, I still can't get my wife to say the restaurant I want to go eat at, though. I'm like, where do you want to eat? She's like, anywhere you want. And I'm like, sushi? She's like, no. Then I'll say like 4 more things, and then she'll finally be like, no, I want this. I'm like, why didn't you tell me from the start? Even a mentalist has the same issues that all the rest of mortals have. So
Sure.
That's why I married her. I have no idea what she's thinking.
That's funny. Now, have you ever done something on TV where it went wrong? Where where you had the Taylor Swift shirt underneath or whatever the shirt is?
It's never been that
they were like
deep. The hooks
Donald
have been
Trump,
that
and you're
deep.
like,
so it's
now what?
I mean, it will happen.
A wristband with it.
Yeah, that will be my last TV appearance, right?
Yeah.
But no, it will invariably. It will happen one day. But for the big ones, for the big reveals, like the stuff that's like the end point, it's never been that. And even then, to be honest, the thing with Al Roker, I didn't know he was going to say George Clooney first. I swear to you, you could that was at that moment. That was as laser focused.
You try to get him to say something else first?
Why? Want him to say Taylor Swift.
The first time?
Of course.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then you said switch it.
You didn't know that would be the case.
You didn't know that was
obviously
part of it.
If I have the
you
shirt.
needed to. Yes.
So at that point, for me to say to him, I go, what if I go in this very moment, look at me, change your mind, anyone else that you could ever think of in 2020, and he went to her. And so
you could do that maybe like 2 more times.
Yeah, I'm like,
go someone else.
Hillary, who else? We were on the clock. And he goes, you have 45 seconds left when I was doing something for them. It's an amazing moment. And I had about 15 seconds to do it with him. And I ripped off the shirt, almost like popped the buttons when I revealed it. But if you watch it, it was just, at that moment, it was just laser focus where I had to really Vulcan mind meld, look him right in the eye and say, if you change your mind right now, who would you change to? And he goes like this. He's like exasperated. He goes, I don't know. I go, just anyone. He goes, Taylor Swift. And it was just, it made
that must have felt so good. You're just like,
And it's not even a rush. Like my stomach dropped, everything.
Oh my gosh.
So to answer your question, it hasn't happened yet. But even in the moments when it's been close, I've been able to find a way. But it will one day. It will one day.
Oh, wow. Man, I'm going to have to watch that one and see. Let's bring in Let's bring in
Get Matt.
Matt first.
Matt, either one.
Bring them both in. Okay, so for those who are just listening, you're going to want to go to the YouTube channel and watch this right now. But you'll understand what's going to happen. Matt is here, Caesar is here next to me, and then Oz is across from Matt. So go ahead.
So I got in here today, literally from the airport, disheveled, opened up my suitcase, and I just started throwing stuff out there. Imagine planting seeds. And I asked you to think not of work, but make it like a little more like vacation, something that was amazing. And I give you some time. Is that right? And you came up with something. Did you come up with something pretty good? Now, I know you initially deliberated and you thought of one trip, a vacation, and you switched your mind, correct?
I did.
I could tell. The first trip you were thinking of, you mentioned, was it a place you've been to more than once?
Yes.
Okay. And I could tell just based on the hand motion, you were there, you weren't alone, you're with other people, and it's somebody close to the heart. So go back to the first thing you just thought of before you changed your mind, somebody with you, really close to the heart, older. This your dad? Were you thinking of your dad first? You were, right? You were just thinking of your dad. No. But this is crazy because then you changed your mind. Am I right?
I did.
Now, certain people, I told you group dynamics, Matt knows everybody in this room.
Yes.
So he doesn't feel like he's got to impress you. Some people, when I tell them think of a vacation, they're like, oh, crap, I got to really, like if he said Florida, you're going to look at him and be like, that's the best you could do, buddy? So you probably didn't go with like Tahiti or something nuts. I think you probably did a place you've been to more than once, but like it's just awesome. It's just got a place in your heart. Am I right about this?
Yes.
Now, you thought of your dad the first time, and so when you changed, you probably went to a female. Plus, you're twiddling your thumbs. You look excited. She's not related to you, is she?
She's not.
She is not. Okay. Here's what I want you to do. Think of the place. Think of where on the planet. So imagine like we spin the globe, and I think this is, holy crap, this is somewhere in the U.S. Am I right? Is this domestic? Yes, it is. Okay, it is somewhere in California. Am I right? Oh man, but it's a good one. There's no way I can know this. The person with you. Think of the first letter of her name. Think of the first. Don't say. Listen to this noise, like a chop. It's either a C or a K. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay. How many years back? How many years ago was this trip?
5.
Okay, so you went there 5 years ago, but you've been there more than once. Would this have been like 2012? Am I doing the math right on that, or like more earlier? 2000 what, give or take?
10, 11.
Okay. Which one do you think?
Probably 2010.
2010. You'll check later. It was actually 2011, but whatever. No, I'm kidding. 2010 it is. Is there any way that I could have found this out? Is there some way, shape, or form that Lewis, Sarah, anybody in this room could have told me or given this up? I want you guys to see this in my pocket. I'm reaching in here. I'm going to pull this out. It's stapled.
Oh my gosh.
We're at the School of Greatness, and I wasn't taking any chances. Prediction. This thing is stapled shut. Can you tell us, it's stapled everywhere? Did I miss a corner? Did I do anything?
Seems stapled.
Was I stapling anything here? Rip it open.
No.
If it's a photo of you and her there 6 years ago, I'm kidding.
A photo?
Our camera person's going to faint. People have gotten restraining orders. No, not a photo. Just humor me. Where was this trip?
Santa Barbara.
Oh, beautiful place. Read out loud what I wrote, folded, and stapled shut for him.
No way. I'm picking up a vacation to Santa Barbara that happened in 2010, and someone with you named Kendra. Holy!
Give him CPR. He's not breathing. He's starting to sweat.
I'm getting clammy. What?
Yeah, that was it.
I even said 5 years, and then you went back to 2010.
I went through every one of his albums on
sweating.
Facebook this morning. You have no idea. I have 38 other
gosh.
envelopes all over my body. His trip to London is chafing my right thigh right now.
He doesn't even have Facebook.
I know. Tell me about it. Couldn't even do it with him. Wait, get Sarah
Amazing.
in here. Where's Sarah?
Grab Sarah real quick.
That's amazing.
I want you, please, turn on your phone and take a step back so there's no way you think I can see or mirrors or anything. And I want you to start scrolling through the names, kind of like you've done a million times before. And what you're seeking out here is this random person of the day. Somebody, you didn't even know why you picked them initially, am I right? Going through, and I see you going up, going down, scouting, looking at this guy, this girl, finally stopping on one specific person. Did you find them? And take your time with it.
Is this the person from before?
Yeah, you've got somebody right in mind. Did you even know why you picked this person initially, or was it just totally random?
Totally random.
Okay. And then put it against your stomach once you found them.
this is the person that she picked before, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, when I say picked before, it's very important.
The random.
There's no.
The random.
This is like you didn't tell anybody. This is like
no.
somebody you just picked out of your phone for no rhyme or reason.
The scroll
In fact, when you
down.
first looked, you didn't even look. You were just kind of scrolling at. Put it against your body. Now I can tell it's a guy. Am I right about that?
Yes.
Now I don't know how your phone is laid out. I've never seen your phone, touched your phone. You didn't write this or whisper this or anything. Like right now, the only way that you have this information is you looked in your own phone. Is that correct? I want to be sure.
I watched this too.
And
yes.
I didn't tell you go there, go there. You just went through your phone. Is it a first and last name or is it just the first?
First and last.
Okay. Think of how many letters are in the first name, but don't count it with your mouth. Don't use your fingers. Tell me when you've counted it.
Got it.
That was instant. Lewis, I call that an instant read. If the name was like Mitchell, that's a struggle, man. M-I-T-C-H, that's like,
Yes.
But if the name is really quick.
Like Joe.
Like a Dan or a Bob or a Bill, exactly right. I think. Wait, why did you smile?
Because she laughed when you said one of those words.
No.
No?
That was weird. She laughed at you and got very tense.
Oh.
No BS. Did he just read your mind? Is the name actually Joe?
What?
Dude, bring it in. School is great. How did you do it?
What? Shut up.
The tension, I didn't even read her mind yet. I was just getting there. But she got very tight and tried to look not serious, and then she looked at you right after. Wait, go to his last name.
No way.
No, don't say put it against your body. Dude, you got the gift, man. Put it against your body. Put it against your body, though. Joe, do you remember his last name? Okay. Let's say that I dump Scrabble tiles right here on the table, and you take them and you spell his last name with the Scrabble tiles. Now, I won't make you count it, because I see you looked a little confused. You went back and forth, which means the name is long. I want you to imagine you put all the tiles on the table, and you know how the Z has a lot of points, and the Q has a lot of points. I don't care which one you pick up, but I want you to reach down and pick up one of the letters out of the middle. And I want you to come on over and imagine that they're laid out right here, the Scrabble tiles. I want you to pick one up out of the middle. Please pick one up and hold it in your hand. You have a tile in your hand, correct? Now, I saw when you went down. Did you see how she did this? She went like this. Question that's weird, but you didn't know which one to go with, which means you either changed your mind or, weird question, did the letter you pick up, is it in the name more than once?
No.
Okay, that was because you did that. It's a vowel, am I right?
No.
Not a vowel. Okay. Let me see it. Think of that letter. It's kind of near the end of the name.
No. Middle.
Okay. Go back to the... Okay, put that down. I really thought... It's not an N, is it? It is an N. Am I right?
Yes.
Hold the applause. Good idea in here. Because I saw you waver from an N and you were thinking of an E. And it's... I you know what? I know you were about to do it, and I don't know if I'm spelling this right. Everyone always gets mad. It's not a spelling bee. It's a mind reading. Can you close your eyes for us, please? Close your eyes.
Uh-huh.
And I feel like... And do we have are we zoomed in on that? Yeah? We got a shot? Open your eyes. She didn't see. It's like Italian, right? Joe what?
Gianetto.
Joe Gianetto.
What? That's crazy.
People don't have the patience. And so like, no. We're talking about something else. Like stick to the topic. And when you do that, you break a rapport, you hurt the conversation. So a part of it is being patient. Let them take you a little bit on a journey